Hi, some time ago I did a video that showcased my converted feral snakebite orc army for Warhammer 40,000 that largely used figures meant for the Age of Sigmar game. And more recently I've been working on expanding this army, and today I'm going to show you the result of that. The most basic part of the expansion was just to add a couple of mobs of orc boys, and as I did before I just used savage orc figures and then added Warhammer 40,000 weapons to them, and I used a war boss as a knob for each mob. But I wanted to add more variation to the army as well, and so I'm going to look at some of the newer units in a bit more detail now. The unit I was most keen to add to my army was a unit of knobs on war bikes, and I've created these using Gore Grunter figures, and I've modified them in much the same way as I modified Boar Riders to create my war bikers. The riders have had Warhammer 40,000 weapons added to them, and the bike cannons themselves have been scratch built from whatever spare parts I could find, and then simply glued to the side of the Gore Grunter itself. That's actually slightly easier than it was with the war bikers, because the Gore Grunters have armour plates on them, and that enabled me to just glue the guns straight on rather than having to build a mounting system as well. As well as adding extra units to my army, I wanted to add some character models, and for those I turned to the character models available for Age of Sigmar Orcs. And I'll start with a pair of weird boys that were created from shaman figures. I wasn't sure which figure would be best, so I bought both of them to see how they turned out. And start with the plastic figure. This I've converted ever so slightly by adding details from Warhammer 40,000 models. He's clutching a Space Marine helmet. One of the skulls he's got is a Necron skull, and if I turn him round, he has a totem here which comes from a Space Marine figure, and that is all he needed. The resin shaman I didn't convert at all. It's one of the very few models that has remained exactly the same in this army. He's just painted up. Then I have an orc knob with a warg banner. This again is really a weapon swap from Age of Sigmar to Warhammer 40,000, and using a longer pole arm to create the flagpole itself and a suitable banner. And then finally I've created a pig dock, which is the feral orc version of the Pain Boy, a resin figure given a plastic power fist, or power claw for the orcs, and then I used a grot ammo bearer to build his Gretchen assistant with his medical tools in that case. Now, to get this figure, the easiest way was to buy the Start Collecting Iron Jaws set, because that came with this and the Gore Grunters, and it was only £2 more than just the box set of Gore Grunters, so that was saving me a lot of money on that. And it also came with another squad of orcs, which I've also converted to add to this army. The Start Collecting Iron Jaws set, of course, came with a mob of Iron Jaws orcs in, and so I've converted these in exactly the same way as I did with my Savage Orcs to create a single unit of armoured orc boys. And I've just added on some Warhammer 40,000 weapons to the fantasy figures. And I was lucky in the timing in that Games Workshop did a limited time reissue of an armoured orc leader figure. So I mail ordered one of those, and I converted that to give myself a leader that properly stood out from the rest of the squad, instead of just trying to make one regular plastic figure look a bit bigger than it was. Now, you don't get the Ard Boys, as they were called, in orc armies anymore, but I still like the idea of having a squad which looks a little bit different to the rest of the army. I also wanted to add some sort of elite fire support to my army, and to do that I've created these two small squads here. I've got a unit of burner boys and a unit of tank busters, And the burner buoys were created in the same way as most of the rest of the army. It's just standard Warhammer 40,000 weapons mounted onto Age of Sigmar Savage Orcs. The tank busters I did a little differently in that a lot of them have got converted weapons, so I get a nice variation in how their rocket launchers look. And in the case of two of them, they're actually using rocket launchers that are taken from Orc Dreadnought figures. Then these were completed with tank buster bombs, which were taken from regular Orc boy sprues. Never been sure why you get the tank buster bomb on that sprue, because that was never an option for the Orcs. But they came in handy for these figures, so I used them. I decided to add some more vehicle support to my army in the form of some dedicated transport from this Orc truck, and I converted this from the regular truck by replacing the regular engine with a steam engine that I made from a glue stick, which has been heavily decorated with spare parts. Parts from the fighter bomber kit came in very useful for that because they were suitably curved. The crew, of course, needed replacing, so I got some more Savage Orcs and used them in place of the regular crew. I've moved the gun turret, as you can see, it's not down by the driver. I do this on all of my trucks anyway. I think that it looks better mounted up there, but it also meant that I had room for a coal stockpile down where the gun used to be mounted. And as a final touch, two of the rear wheels have been replaced with wooden ones. I could have just left them as they were, it would have looked fine, but I thought that enhanced the idea of this is some wrecked vehicle that the savage feral orcs have recovered and rebuilt. As a final touch, I made a couple of orc totem poles. These could be used purely decoratively, or they could be objective markers. Now we've got the symbol of the snake bites, which is just a coiled snake, painted in bright colours. And then over here we've got some orc glyphs, and these translate as beware, this tribe is strong and there are many of us, a suitable warning to keep away. And here is my army as it stands now. I have my mighty war boss, his inner circle, a horde of troops, some more specialised support, and then some big powerful guns at the back. And I've decided that this year I'll be taking some of these, putting them on a suitably painted baseboard and entering them for armies on parade. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching.